It's Wednesday, June 21st. We have our weekly Commissioners Finance meeting. As I mentioned, today's the 21st of June, 2023, at hour 1:30 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order, open with an opportunity for public comment. Got anybody online? Nothing? Okay. That brings us to item 3. We have the minutes in hand of our meeting June 14. Entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Okay, I will second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, that brings us to item 4, topics of discussion, of which we have only one today. We only need one. And that is our clerk system quarterly update. We have Carolyn Blatchley with us today to take us through the paces of where we stand. So, whenever
So
you're
you
ready.
probably have a copy of this in front of you to look at it on the screen, but we've been using this format where we just kind of a short summary of the projects in the green box, just remind you what they're about, and then each of the projects, the second quarter actions that we've taken show up in the yellow boxes. And so with the virtual reference project, that's extremely exciting. We've had all of the training that we need for all of our staff. We're now practicing. We have a trial link and we can go in and practice without anybody else having to see what we're doing in there. But we're set to go live on July 5th. And our dedicated staff hours for specifically for Cumberland County staff to be on the desk are 2 to 4, Tuesday through Thursday. The service is 24/7, and so that's a little bit confusing. We're not on there 24/7, but there's always a librarian, mostly always somebody from Pennsylvania on there 24/7. And if they go into the service and it asks a couple of questions that are optional, but if they indicate they are Cumberland County, that gives all librarians access to our FAQs. And so when they're in our FAQs, they can get access to our databases, solve some of our problems. They can't solve account problems, unfortunately, but other types of, like if they're having trouble using a database, they can log in with the customer, like the customer, and get the same resources that citizens of Cumberland County have. So, in that way, it is 24/7. Account questions can then be forwarded by an operator who's not from Cumberland County, can be forwarded to us to deal with them in the 24-hour period. There's also, I don't have the exact hours, but you can also call into the service or text into the service. Email or text into the service, and people staff that from 10 a.m. to 5 or 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. So we're working to get all the advertising together. A draft press release just fell into my inbox today, so I'll be doing some editing to that. We'll send that on to Samantha. We've got graphics ready for our website. I assume that this graphic shows up on the bottom of every web page, so that if people are in our website and they feel that they need some help, they can click right from there and get right into the service again, 24 hours a day. So, so we're really excited to see that roll out. That's probably the most exciting thing I'm going to talk about today. The website usability study, it's WC3 compliance is really what we're going for on this. And my original intention of this was feeling like we needed a third party to verify that what we're doing is right for accessibility. And we had 8 consultants selected. We narrowed that down to 4 to actually interview. And as we interviewed them, what we really learned from that, and one of our consultants came right out and said it. He said, you could pay me $10,000 to write you a report, but it's nothing you're not already able to discover on your own. Some of the big companies use some proprietary software, but he said it's not really that different than the free tools, the available tools through accessibility networks that we already have access to. And so we really kind of explored some other, he said, I don't want you to hire me if I'm not what you need. So, but he did talk us through what we might need, which involves no payment to him, which was an interesting conversation. And it got us thinking. I brought along the original language of that. I have a summary up there. It's number 2 about conduct a website usability study, but the real wording of the conditional grant is contract with a qualified consultant for a study of our current website's usability and WC3 compliance. Without performing a complete website design, make adjustments as recommended to determine the future of our current website platform. And the second part of that, I still do want to explore. But the first part of that, I'm wondering what it would take maybe to meet with Keith and, reword that grant in midstream to not contract with a qualified consultant, but instead, along the language I've been playing with, but instead build a strategic approach to checking our website for accessibility. We have somebody who does that. And if you ask me, is he doing it? I'd say, yes, he's doing it. If you said, prove it, I could not do that without a lot of time sitting down with him and having him go through some things. So we thought, we have this in other places in the library system where we run checks a couple of times a year. We do it the same way every time. We document it. We keep the statistics and report the statistics. Maybe that's what we need for our website, is to have a strategic plan using our Google Analytics to identify the pages that we need to be checking on a quarterly basis or 3 times a year, whatever that might be. I was thinking 3 to 4 times a year, and document our successes or our failures, and if there are identified needs for training. So I don't know what it takes other than talking to our solicitor about changing that document, but I'll go on with the rest of this and we can talk about that a little bit more. But we do have our team leads, working with that. They've done some compliance testing, and the other thing that we were thinking then was we could put our money into things like there's a product called UserWay that you may have seen this on other websites. It's a round circle with a guy with his arms stretched, little stick figure, arms stretched out, legs stretched out. And when you click on that, it gives you multiple ways for differing types of abilities to change a website, to modify a website so that it, maybe the most obvious one is the text changes. There's like 3 different ways you can view the text if you're dyslexic, because your needs might be different depending on the level of your dyslexia. It can read it to you. It can change the text size. So we were thinking we might invest in something like that instead of investing in a consultant. So that's where we are on that project.
So if we could just pause there for a moment, Carolyn. So if you're comfortable with us talking with Keith and looking at what needs to happen with the MOU, we're happy to do that. As long as you're comfortable with looking at modifying that instead of spending money on a consultant, just really do the second part.
Yeah, well, and
develop some better analytics.
Yeah, I was going to say the first part of it's really just changing it to developing a strategic approach to the website, to the accessibility checking, because he is doing it, and we went through back in my old job, he and I went through an entire 5-day class on accessibility. He's very well versed in the topic, our website designer, but we don't do a good job of documenting that we're doing it, and so that's kind of where we are with that.
Do you have the ability perhaps to do what's called pre-testing, actually have individuals maybe change that group out to come in and work through it? You can do all the rules correctly and still have a product that you may have blind spots to. So what we always did at market research is we developed our instrument. We always pre-tested them on a small group first to make sure they interpreted what we were writing the way we interpreted what we were writing.
Yeah, that
just something.
Yeah, wasn't something we considered, but that might be we've done that in other, not with accessibility, but with usability, where we had people go through and show us how you would get to a program, to see if they could be successful doing the things that we think people go to our website to do. And so maybe it's looking at it through that lens, through someone with color blindness. Can you see the images on our page? And somebody with dyslexia, can you read what's on our page?
I'm sure you'll call it.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Now I pressed the arrow, but I didn't get anywhere.
It changed. It changed.
It did? Oh, it did. Sorry. Talk about not seeing colors. I was excited. There we go. So the auto renewal program, we have gathered all the information. It's all in one place, it's documented step by step what the software will do and where we need to make choices. Now we're getting that team together to next month to start making those choices. I'm going to be talking to the directors about it tomorrow, actually. We're probably going to pick some specific item types to use in the auto renewal process. So, so we need to, you know, make sure that we've picked the right thing and figure out how we're going to measure whether or not this is successful for us. So, so that it's coming along, but it's, I think it'll be more exciting when we actually see it in real life. The meeting room project involves a couple of things. It involves getting some software, which we've been evaluating a couple of different types of software, event calendar software that will allow for room reservations, but still be compatible with our website. The one thing we're really concerned about is not making more work for our local library staff who are website editors. So we're working on that, and then the information technology staff are working. They're meeting with individually with member libraries. We've got a brief outline of what kinds of equipment they're looking for. Some libraries don't have a dedicated room like this, where they can put up a screen and have computers hooked up to it, microphones planted within it, that sort of thing, and some do. So, so we're trying to separate the differing needs and narrow down the purchases so that we're only having to make two or three purchases for our 7-member libraries, but meet all their needs. And then lastly, the Nature Backpacks program. I've met with the children's librarians. We've used the Bosler model, the ones that I brought the other week, and kind of building off that, coming up with more topic. We have so many topics. We really need to narrow those down, but we have started a core list of materials that will go into those backpacks, and we're going to start making some purchases here. And I hope that I'm hoping that we'll be seeing those by August or September. So I'll be hopefully coming back to the September meeting, hopefully reporting that one's, they're out and circulating and we're watching people enjoy them. So do you have any questions about these 5 projects?
I don't. Thank you, Carolyn.
But just if you don't mind me making a little plug, speaking of being outdoors, if you haven't checked out the Go Cumberland program, this is what we piloted last year with Wells Band, and it's a nice book and website that tell you about the trails all throughout Cumberland County, and then they get this sheet and I wish I would have brought the one where I've been putting my own rubbings, but I didn't. But there are posts and you take a colored pencil or crayon and take a rubbing. It's been such a successful program, and if you have kids or adults in your life who like to get out and hike and see new places, I've already discovered 2 new places in Cumberland County, and I thought I knew this county pretty well. So I highly recommend checking out Go Cumberland. A little plug.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carolyn.
Okay. Okay, so that's the only item we have listed as a topic of discussion today, formally on the agenda. So that moves us on to item 5, just for the business. Additional things to come forward. Staff, nothing. Okay, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Stand adjourned, and thank you all for being here.